This podcast was brought to you by Outsider. Check us out at www.outsider.com. Outsider is an outdoor lifestyle brand owned and operated by me, retired Navy SEAL Sam Mackey, and my dear friend and former NFL quarterback Jay Cutler. At Outsider, we encourage everyone to get outside and enjoy all that life has to offer. Head over to outsider.com to check out our unique patent-pending drinkware. Outsider's drinkware can be customized with your personal or business logo. Go to outsider.com, upload your logo, and we will send you visual proofs and great wholesale pricing. And don't forget, get outside and enjoy all that life has to offer. Welcome, everyone, to the next episode of the Outsider Podcast. Before we get started today, I must acknowledge the significance of today. Today is September 11th, which marks the 23rd anniversary of when our great nation came under attack. I would like to thank all the men and women who stepped up and answered our nation's call and served in the armed forces, knowing that war was on the horizon. And to all those who made the ultimate sacrifice, you are loved and missed dearly. Charlie Keating, Zach Miller, and Brendan Looney. Miss you guys. Keep the beers cold, boys. Keep them cold. And back to it. I'm your host of the Outsider Podcast with my co-host, Smokin' Jay Cutler. Today, our next guest is a small-town kid from Georgia. One of the godfathers of the country's modern rock and rap edge. He's racked up more than 8.3 billion, that's with a B, streams. He's gone platinum 13 times. He's an avid hunter and outdoorsman. His album Tattoos will release September 13th. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our next guest, Brantley Gilbert.
Nice to meet you. Good to see you, boys.
Thanks for coming on, my
How
man.
we doing, man? Glad to be here.
Yes,
8
sir.
billion. It's a lot.
I didn't know those stats. I was like I just got
they're
my
from
first
the internet.
baseball card. You know? That was awesome.
Pretty strong.
That's why I was adding up all your platinum records today. I'm like, man, I hope I don't fuck this up. But
You can't fuck up nothing I ain't already fucked up.
so from Georgia, whereabouts in Georgia?
So I'm from Northeast, man, about 20 minutes outside of Athens.
Okay. What was growing up there like?
Man, to be honest with you, my memory's a little bit hazy, you know. But dude, it's an awesome small town. And it is to this day. You know, the town's changing a lot. It's growing a lot. But we were actually about 20, 25 minutes away from the school shooting that just happened in Georgia. And, man, it as tragic as it was a reminder of how that community does come together. Mm-hmm. You know, we all talk shit about each other. Everybody knows everybody's business. But, you know, when it calls for it, the community comes together. It's awesome, man. Still live there. I moved to Nashville for about a year and a half, and not that there's anything wrong with Nashville or the people in it. You know, Georgia's just home. Mm-hmm. My family's there. My wife's family's there, and man, we love it. We're actually. I looked for about 15 years for a farm, decent sized acreage around there, and you couldn't find it. And finally, 3 years ago, I found it. So we're getting ready to start some new memories and move over to there. And
Soybeans and sweet corn mainly?
oh man, we didn't have much luck this year. We planted beans; they got smoked.
Oh gosh, everything's getting smoked. My farm in Kentucky, it looks like a desert.
I get it. If it wasn't army worms, it was no rain.
Yeah, it was so dry.
Yeah, our deer walking around eating bean seeds and pea seeds off the ground. We couldn't even get clover to grow this year.
Everything is burned up. We're gonna have to replant everything. It's a nightmare.
What was your childhood like growing up, and when did you get into music? Were your parents into it, or?
I remember my mom singing in church, and I remember it used to get on my nerves. She sings so loud, but she really did sing like an angel. And anybody knows my mom will tell you like she her God like that.
Was she a good singer?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But it was just loud.
Yeah.
But I love my mama. I started in church, I guess, and around the age of 14, 15, I started playing with a couple cover bands and stuff. When they'd take a break, I'd play some of my stuff. I was already writing it. Now, granted, none of the songs made a whole hell of a lot of sense, but they were.
How old were you when you started writing?
My mom said that it started early on that I never really wanted to learn other people's songs, and if I did, it was so I could learn the chords and stuff to write my own. And she said I used to put on a show for crowds of one in the house. She said it was pretty bad. I believe that part.
Who were you listening to on the radio then?
Man, my mom and dad had like a box of tapes, right? This is going to date me a little bit. There's people watching this, you know. But it was a box of tapes. And I mean, dude, it was everything from praise and worship music to AC/DC, Skinner, and freaking and
cassette tapes.
Oh yeah,
oh yeah,
oh yeah. I mean, I remember they had I found Cool in the Gang one time for a week, boy. I wore a Huffy out down, with my little Walkman, especially when they put that skip control on it, where you could hit it hard and it'd still play for a minute.
Yeah.
Oh, I wore them some bitches out. But I gravitated towards Skinner, man. When I heard Simple Man, it reminded me of a lot of things my mom had said to me, and I just gravitated towards it. And the more I got into that album, that particular tape, there were a lot of things. He was talking about things I understood. And that was some of my first exposure to that. And then around 17, I tied up with a guy named Corey Smith, who's another singer-songwriter from my hometown. And he'd been playing college markets, man, and was really killing it. And so I started touring around with him. That was a new crowd because we've been playing VFWs and biker bars. And
did you have a little band then by that point?
Mostly by myself.
Okay.
When I got with him, I added a guitar player. And I had a little band. We played some little one-off shows here and there, but I didn't have enough money to pay nobody. We were just trying to get gas in the truck.
Did you teach yourself to play?
I did.
Yeah.
I went to one.
Seems to be a running theme with a lot of you guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know what happened, but my mom said I came back from my first guitar lesson and told her to do was creepy. No going back. Bad experience. So, yeah, I taught myself, and I remember, dude, it was never a thing where I said, I want to go to Nashville and seek this out and try to. I didn't know it. I remember Corey Smith being able to quit his teaching job and play music full time, and I was like, that's an option.
Yeah,
I can do if I can do that and like not do bad stuff.
Were you teaching as well?
What's that?
Were you teaching as well?
Oh God, no, they wouldn't let me nowhere near. That's a lie. When I was in college, I did do a little coaching.
I read that. Yeah.
It's bad to be a drunk coach in a small town. We had some issues all the way up to about 26, but we got it worked out though. Nothing a little rehab can't fix.
There you go.
But yeah, man, I'll never forget him making that transition and being so proud of it, and that became my goal. I wanted to, his goal was to sell out the Georgia Theater and go full time in music. So I made that my business, and soon after, in my early 20s, we did that. And man, it was the one thing we had. God bless me, man, with some of the best dudes in the world, and I just surrounded myself with guys that were driven and motivated and wanted the same things we wanted. And man, over the last 20 years, we've built something that I haven't seen very much on the road, and that's a family. From the management office to our relationships at the label, we viewed everything more as a partnership, and we kind of ran it between a sports team and a motorcycle club. It's kind of where it landed, and it works pretty good, man.
Did you know that you had to build that culture to get where you wanted to be amongst your team?
To be completely honest, man, it wasn't that preconceived. Like I wasn't that sure about it. It was more about, hey, man, I can go pick up a bag this week and go play this little show, make a couple $100 maybe. And then when we added the band, it stopped being about making money. It was more about having a good time and trying to get songs out in front of people. And this was back in the day, man, where I finally got my first album out, and I remember going to the post office for hours, man. I sit there and handwrite all the addresses. They buy it on on MySpace. They'd use I forget what it was, PayPal or something. But we did it all on MySpace, and I'd go handwrite all the addresses and sign the albums and send them all out myself for years.
Really?
Oh yeah, man.
That's amazing.
Oh, I had the thing where I could put my own graphics on. So, dude, hours of work. But
I found Katie on MySpace. We met and then lost touch with each other, and then I looked her up on MySpace. We ended up living like 2 blocks from each other.
And whenever you were in California?
Yep.
MySpace? Wow.
That's kind of awesome.
Been together about 16 years, 17 years.
I never had a MySpace account.
Well, Tom ran a good program. That was his name, right?
You
Tom?
missed out, bro. That was before social media started tearing at the fabric of everything good in this nation. You know?
His name was Tom. We started about.
Yeah, when you create an account, the little guy his name's Tom. There's a picture of him, and I do remember when you start putting music on your MySpace account. Then you were uptown if you had music on there.
Game changer. bro.
I was at Vandy, and we were one of the first schools that got Facebook.
Oh,
That's back whenever you had to have like a
School account?
.edu account, and I think Vandy was like second or third in line.
really?
Yeah, it was Yale or Harvard or one of us, and then Vandy got it. So we were one of the first ones that had that. I thought that was pretty cool. But
Did you go to school for music?
No.
Okay.
I
Somewhere
went
out
to
there on the
school for my
internet says you went to
parents.
college for and studied music.
Yeah, I didn't go for music. I went for my parents, and that didn't last long. I really didn't want to be there, man. It was like, I wasn't dumb. Like, I graduated with honors from my high school, and it was really hard to apply in college, especially with, I was always drawn to late nights and playing in bars and stuff like that. And once I figured out what bars in town had let me play, I was more apt to do that and try to talk my professors into coming to a show than I was to show up for class.
yeah,
But yeah, that was short lived. But it was, it was fun. I went to a little school in Middlesville, and I couldn't go back there the next semester, but that's a story for another day. But yeah, it was a good try. I gave it the good old college. That's exactly what college was for me. It was a good old college try, man.
Did you do a lot of hunting and fishing growing up?
I did.
Yeah.
More hunting than fishing. Some of my best memories, man, are me and my dad and my papa before he died, and my cousin. We'd go to this little spot in Maysville. We actually live in Maysville now. And I'll tell you why in a bit. But dude, it was one of those hunting camps. There's 50 dudes on the leash. Everybody's hunting the same deer. So
Yep.
Everybody's pushing nocturnal. You never saw a good buck. If you saw a doe, you better shoot her before the guy 100
Somebody
yards away
does
shot
dead.
her. We never saw shit. But dude, it was more about being with them. It really was. Getting up early in the morning knowing you weren't going to see shit, but I got to hang with my papa and my dad and my cousin. So, it's something, man, that I wanted to pass on to my kids. And they'll both go. My son is obviously a little more drawn to it than my daughter. She's a little bougie. But he loves it, man.
How old is he?
He's 6. He's supposed to turn 7 in November.
I did a lot of hunting in Virginia when I lived out there. I just moved here about a year ago now, but lived in Virginia Beach for 17 years. And it was the same way. We had a lease, a group of guys, and it was surrounded by clubs that ran dogs because you can run dogs for deer. So there was just so much pressure. And shit, I'd go up there for long weekend after long weekend and never see a deer. If I saw a doe, I was shooting. If I saw anything, I was shooting it. And then I go to Texas for the first time. And
What is this?
and then
it's a different program.
all these deer come out, and I'm like, you guys always have this many fucking deer? And they're like, oh yeah, just wait till the feeder goes off. I'm like, wait, the feeder's not going off? And then thing spins, and they just pile in there, and I lose my mind. I'm like, and I'm starting counting. I'm like, okay, money for gas, money for this, money for that, for food, for booze, for the weekend. Like, I think I can come to Texas 2 times for that, and just hunt Texas. So that's what I started doing.
Yeah, dude, I love it.
Yeah, they've got it dialed in down there.
Texas is not apologetic about being super flat and having to bait to get them in close. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
I've killed a lot of nice deer in Texas. So you got your band, you released your first album. That's where you left off.
Were you guys just touring around Georgia at that point?
For the most part,
Yeah.
I remember like when Corey broke in, so we were playing this, we had a little bar in our hometown called Mike's. We'd play there. Then there was a place called Buster's, it's called something different now, in Dahlonega, which is a little college town about 45 minutes north of us. And then we branched out, went to Statesboro, a place called Retrievers. A buddy of mine, Nathan Queen, who just passed away a few weeks ago, owned it. And kind of went from there to Valdosta to Savannah to Jacksonville. So it was really like, just overnight, few hours at a time drives. We could work that out. And man, it was kind of, Corey had a song called Wishing I Was 21, and he really had a hot streak right there, kind of when I jumped
Did he have a
on
label at
board.
that point or no?
No, he's all independent.
Gotcha.
And that was one of the things that, man, was so, that I respected so much about him, because so much I'd heard about the music business, what I was scared of is somebody trying to tell me what I had to wear, what I had to say, and all that. And he was kind of the anti that. And it worked for many years. And I mean, Corey's still out playing. Corey still does extremely well, and he'll always be, one of my main influences when it comes to songwriting. Because between him and Skinner, like, I learned that you can write about home, and about you, and it's relatable.
For sure.
You don't have to try to write something that everybody understands, and so it was dude, it was a special time in life, man. We had a lot of fun. And obviously I was underage, so I was kind of the little shit following them around, trying not to get in too much trouble. I failed at that a lot, but it was fun.
When did you get picked up by Colt Ford?
So Colt and I met through Mike Deacle. We called Mike Uncle Mike, and he really was like an uncle or another dad to us, man. He passed away a few years back, but he had written a bunch of songs up and coming back in the 80s and stuff. He had a big hit with Kenny Rogers, Scarlet Fever. He wrote it by himself, and he was just a special dude, man. He tied Colt and I together, and we wrote Dirt Road Anthem, and it was off to the races. He came out on the road with my band for a few years, and he'd jump up. He'd tour with his band, and then he'd come out with us for runs and get up and do Dirt Road Anthem, and then we did.
What year was that?
2006, 7.
Okay.
8 maybe. This you gotta understand. I didn't quit drinking till 2011, so a lot of this is a good bit hazy and could be a lie. But if I lie, I don't lie to nobody on purpose but the police. If that happens, I apologize.
Man, me and you are gonna get along great.
Absolutely. They hit me with that Trump fact check, I'm fucked, buddy. Yeah, we'll try to keep it in between the lines. But it was way back. I can tell you this. I never thought back then there would ever be a day when Colt Ford weighed less than me and he does right now.
Really?
Oh,
I haven't seen a picture of him lately.
He had, some of it's healthy, some of it's not. He had 2 major heart attacks, man, 2 widowmakers a few months back. And it was wild. We had never played, in the last 20 years, we had never played a show that close together where we weren't on the same show. And I do a thing where after the show every night I sign flags. We sell flags, and whoever buys them during the show, it's like another meet and greet.
Sure.
And halfway through the line, my phone starts blowing up, and I look down, it's Demon Jones, and Demon's one of my favorite people on this planet, man. Incredibly talented dude, but he doesn't blow you up like that unless it's something crazy. So I picked up, and he said, "Hey, man, my booking agent's out with Colt, and there's an ambulance there, there's lights, and there's everything else." And we literally, like, the hospital was right in the middle of where he played and where we played, so we got to the hospital quick. I just told my tour manager, I said, "Hey, man, let's get this shit over with, find Colt and get me to him." And he had us there. The ambulance was pulling in. We pulled in behind it, and we stayed there for a couple days, and finally got him over to a Mayo clinic. And I still didn't get to see him before I had to leave and go back on the road. And man, but it was a God thing. That guy at the Mayo clinic told him, he said, "Dude, we've got people come in that are twice as healthy and half as young that don't walk out of here. Not from this." So he's recovering well, man. He's back to sending inappropriate pictures and shit on the phone. So it was like we got our boy back. It's crazy when he's laying in the hospital bed and sends you a picture of his junk. It's just swelled up like hell. I'm like, all right, well, he's good, But dude, he's been a brother of mine for years. We hit it off immediately, and having something like Dirt Road Anthem, we could play together for years, and then Aldine picking it up really did a lot for both of us, and we got to experience that together. So he's that dude could call me anywhere, anytime. Anybody in his family could, and if I couldn't be there in 5 minutes, I'd have somebody there. That's my boy. But I think he's gonna try to make his first appearance since this weekend for the album release.
Oh, really?
That's awesome.
It'll be cool, man.
You're throwing a party downtown?
Yeah, so the plan is to block off Broadway, and it's supposed to be the largest CD or album, not CD. Wow, bro, management's over here having a fucking heart attack. I apologize. You know what I'm saying? I dated myself. I'm thinking about the good old days when we went platinum back to back selling hard copy albums. When it went to streaming, like, a lot of our crowd was older than that, so we're still trying to catch up. But yeah, the plan is to block off Broadway. It's the largest pyro package we've ever run. it's a sure enough smoker. The only problem is there's a hurricane coming.
Yeah.
So we'll
Hurricane
see.
parties are a thing.
Yeah, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I ain't scared of it. Hell, I'll be out there in the rain. Did you ever see that Goo Goo Dolls show they did in Buffalo where it was raining the whole time?
I don't think so.
Bro, it's worth looking up.
I will.
Oh, that shit's
They say we're supposed to get 6 to 12 inches this weekend.
We need it.
Boy, I hope. I've been praying for that for years.
Right around the corner.
I mean,
Maybe
God
this weekend.
almighty, bro. I come home with that, it's going to be a different existence. My wife quit worrying about Jason much, might pay me some attention. She felt I was coming this way. She's, I love him. I know. You've told me. We watched the show for a little bit, but much respect for that. I don't know how you know, cameras follow me around a little bit, but in my day-to-day life, I don't know how you did that.
Yeah, it was a struggle.
I can't imagine.
Was it?
I mean, there was cameras in the house.
All the time.
I mean, we did a good job of making sure it was in certain rooms at certain times and the kids are going to stuff, but it's fucking reality TV. It's stupid.
Bro, I was in a relationship one time, and I won't say it, but there was a little bit of pressure to do one of those shows.
Yeah.
And, man, it was at a time in my life where I hung around with some pretty unsavory characters. And, I mean, I can't tell you, 2 or 3 different times I came home from the road, and they had, like, Skype meetings with production companies that were talking about, you know, the premise for what a show could be. And I was like, look, I've told y'all several times, I got dudes that I hang out with that can't be on camera. You know what I mean? Like, we can't do this. It's bad. I'll go to prison. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to have to find another option. Yeah, dude, much respect, because that was, I remember watching a few episodes with my wife and being like, man, that has to be difficult. Super cool, right? And, I mean, I know you guys built a brand out of it. I'm sure there were some positive aspects.
Yeah, there's positives, and it's just short period of time in my life.
I loved your demeanor on the show. No, I mean, it's real, but it,
I did not give a shit.
That was evident.
Really?
I was one take, and they were like, let's try it this way. I'm like, nah. You guys can get out of the house. I got shit to do.
Yeah. Keyword, reality TV. I just gave you reality.
This is as real as it gets.
We circle back and hit it again as false advertising.
So your next album coming out, Tattoos. So let's talk about that a bit. What inspired it? Obviously your tattoos, but do the songs coincide with your tattoos and tell your story? Or?
To an extent. So if you look back at every album I've ever released, they all have titles that are based on my faith in one form or way or fashion. And man, the thing behind that was, you know, is as bad off as I got, you know, no matter who I was hanging around with, what I was doing, that's always been my safe place to land. My mom and Jesus, like I said, are like this. And that's what I always came back to. And I also have always felt for years that was the reason a lot of the reason that we saw a lot of the blessings we did is we kind of kept that, you know, as part of what we were doing.
Sure.
This album's the first one that hadn't been, you know, the title, like we literally had Prodigal Son and then Halfway to Heaven, and, you know, it was always Devil Don't Sleep. It was always something pertaining to faith. And this one's obviously different, but you know, if you look at the cover and you look at a lot of my tattoos, they are faith-based. And
What was your first tattoo?
it's on my back. And so I drew it when I was in school, apparently. And then the day I turned 18, I went and got it.
Was your mom pissed?
Yeah. Yeah. And my dad said there wasn't room in the house for both of us. So he got home from work the next day and I had his weed eater and his lawnmower and shit thrown out in the yard. Mm-hmm. And I moved a couch in there and a little tape recorder, I'm dating myself again, a little tape recorder I could record songs on, and a TV, and that was it. But I moved into his lawnmower building for a good 2 months till he found me somewhere to live. He was pissed. But yeah, man, it was an interesting time. But this album, so all of those albums, if you go back and you listen chronologically, you'll have a pretty good idea who I am, where I was at in that chapter of my life. Mm-hmm. Like, it's kind of like an autobiography in a way. They were all chapters of my life. And this one's different to an extent, but my tattoos tell that story as a whole. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a summation of all the work we've done through the years. So instead of trying to make the album tell a story, we talk about how my tattoos tell that story, and then we bounced back and gave some some nostalgic, tributes to some of the stuff we used to do back in the day, and the way we used to record back in the day. We got away from a lot of the digital stuff on this one. Went back to a lot of live instrumentation, and just stylistically, there's songs on there that you would have found, in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, which was cool for me. Just kind of going back and getting to retrace some steps. So it was a lot of fun making this album, man. We're really excited about it. It's only 10 songs. I've always been a fan of bigger albums that are themed and tell a story, but the way of the world right now, man, if I release 20 songs, I burn 10 of them.
Yeah.
So we're excited.
When you look at your tattoos, in a timeline that only you can walk through the different stages of your life.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. Likewise. What was your latest tattoo, and what's your next one?
So my latest, we went back and retouched this arm. So Corey Miller from LA Inc. did the lower half, and Tommy Montoya did the upper half, which is crazy, dude. It was on New York Inc. And my dad called me. He was pissed.
Still pissed.
Common theme here. Common theme.
Right. Not because I got a tattoo. Yeah, Dad stays pissed a lot. He's got anger issues. It's all right, though. We love him. But he was mad because, so I go up there, and Tommy Montoya's this dude, and he speaks English well, but he's got a pretty thick accent back then, and so the show goes on, and he was like, "You need to watch it. Call me back." All right, so I watched it. Well, when Tommy's talking, the screen's blank. It's just Tommy talking. And when I open my mouth to talk, they gave me subtitles. Yeah, it's like, come on, man. I'm from here.
Yeah. This guy's from Georgia. We're going to need subtitles on this one.
It was so bad. It was so bad.
Slang as he's talking.
No, dude, it was kind of, I thought it was funny. He didn't at all. My dad's kind of got a little bit of a history of showing his ass a little bit. We had a radio station say something that wasn't true at one point, and I was on a radio tour in Texas. And my radio rep come running in the room the minute I finished the interview and was like, "Hey, I need you to listen to something." And it was a message that my dad had left the radio station. And he was drinking bad. And he basically threatened to whip everybody's ass in there. You know what I mean? He said, "Y'all said some stuff about my son that wasn't true." He said something to the effect of, "I've supported y'all. I got everybody. I tell all my friends, listen to y'all." He said, "But y'all gonna do us like this." He said, "If I need to, I'll come down there and we can take it outside." So he song dropped. He title dropped the song of mine, and everything was classic. And I looked at George. He was like, "You got to call him and tell him he can't do that." And I was like, "Well, first, what did they say?" I'm not gonna fuss at him if he ain't wrong.
Let's get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. So he's got a little bit of a history of that. But yeah, man, you got a lot of tattoos. You know that.
Any living room tattoos?
Living room?
Yeah, get them in the living room.
Oh, yeah. We got a gun at the house, and a lot of these started off as that. But most of my work now is done by a guy named Carl Grace. He went back and touched up this arm. The latest one, I got a rattlesnake that wraps around this whole leg up to right here, and there's a few guns on it around the bottom. So I'm a gun guy. You can relate. But they're guns that mean something to me. The one on this side, during COVID, we kind of got into building them a little bit, me and a couple buddies of mine. And
like AR platform style guns?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I called a buddy of mine who's a SEAL, and I got him to I said, "Dude, I want to build like the baddest civilian rifle I can. Can you send me like a parts list?" And they were deployed. So he went to all his guys, and they sent me this list of, what would be the best civilian weapon. Yep. So we built it. Dude, he wanted a Rainier upper and lower. That's what they sent us on the list. And man, that company got absolved into something else. But we found a Rainier upper and lower together. And kind of just went from there. Silent buffer twos, the whole nine. I mean, to a T of what he had on the list. The only thing we didn't have, they wanted a Bartland carbon barrel. We had to do proof research because we called the guy at Bartland. Yep. And he was like, "Man, I don't really want to do an AR. Like, I like bolt guns." Yeah. It was like, so we built it, and then
those proof barrels are good though.
I love them.
Yeah,
I love them. But it was kind of cool. So when he stopped deploying, he kind of came back. He's doing weapons research and stuff, weapons development now. for the teams. But I brought him out to a show, and he didn't know that we built it for him. So we were able to gift it to him, and it was super cool. So it's my way of keeping that one with me.
Does this guy have one leg? Okay.
No, he's got both of them.
Oh, the guy I'm thinking of that matches this description has one leg. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah, this dude, he's super cool, man. I'll tell you what drew me to him. A few guys on his team came to a show, and I got to meet him, and we hit it off really well. And he's actually one of my better friends now. It developed into a pretty cool friendship. He was one of the only guys, a lot of y'all have trouble flipping the switch and doing the dad thing and doing the husband thing. Yep. He was extremely good at that. And, we just had a lot of conversations that about things we were like-minded in. So we have there's a Special Forces Foundation. There's a couple guys putting together. It's pretty cool. So they'll do like secret squirrel missions, right? Like CIA type stuff where they smuggle you through a city and you do all these kind of objectives. And it's designed so that like Fortune 5 owners, somebody wants to drop some money to be a team guy for a day, so I'm their guinea pig. So we did it was in Texas.
Wait, they do like mock stuff?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It was really cool. We stole a security vehicle from a casino that we thought they owned the security company. And they didn't. We legitimately stole the hell out of a security vehicle. And we pull up to this warehouse, man. It was super cool. I walk into the warehouse. We make entry, and it's supposed to be for a meeting. And I walk into a room, and it's a bunch of my some military buddies of mine that I've met through the years, and I got to train with them for a whole day and do a little mission with them. It was really neat. We were using simunition, right? Well, we go through the shoot house, and we're running through these different rooms and watching him work. Y'all are just, dude, it made me feel a lot better about who's protecting our country. I mean,
seeing guys in the kill house it's something to see if you haven't seen it.
It was definitely something to behold. Like I'd run through it, and he'd cut my half in time, and my shots are all over the target. He's dead on every single time. So we're running one together. We finally get to run the room together, and it's high speed, and we're going to work doorways, get through the whole thing, and we're going through, and he's like, hey, man, he said, if we were using live rounds, he said, if you're ever in a house that has, it's just like thin walls or something you can shoot through, he said, if I know, and I tell you there's a target in that corner, just shoot it through the wall, which is something I'd never thought about, Yeah. And then he tells me, also, a lot of these rooms we were going through, it was like the foam, like the you know what I'm talking about. So you can move the walls and stuff. And there were windows. He said, a lot of these rooms, he said, we can shoot from the outside through the windows without having to go through a doorway. He said, because doorways suck. Yeah. So we start doing that. And the guy that was running the thing, he was like, guys, he said, that's really smart, but that's not what we're trying to accomplish. So they tape the windows up. Well, we go through the whole shoot house. We get to the last room, and we shoot it. And he never made entry to that room, and he worked his way to the back of the stack, and I was in the front for the last room and shot it. And the problem was they taped up the windows, but they taped them up with targets. So I spun around behind me. I was like, oh, shit. And I popped the shot off, hit the target. Problem was he was standing right behind it. It hit him in the nose. Yeah. So Jack, my security guy, I was mortified, man, because, it broke the skin. He was bleeding pretty good. And he said, you know what? He said, this is kind of a double-edged sword. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, one, you shot a seal in the face. That's not easy to do. He said, bad news is, you shot a seal in the face. He said, the only way I see this right is y'all go one-on-one in this shoot house. Yeah. Bro, that was so unfair. It was
that is a lot of fun to do, though.
Oh, dude, he lit my ass. I look like a Dalmatian, man. I'm serious. It looked like I had chicken pox with bruises on him. He lit my ass up. And in the last room, I thought I was, dude, he would pop shots off, and I'd know he was coming around this corner, so I'd set up on him, and he'd shoot me in the arm from somewhere else. I don't even know how he got over there. And then finally, the last room, I thought there was a door out the back of it. So I pigeonholed myself. There wasn't a door. Of course, he rushes me, and I'm trying to shoot him on the way in, and it's not happening. He lit me up, and his gun misfired a few times, which saved me. But the last shot, he hit me, and I was trying to back up. And, man, my feet got tied together. And on the video, it looked like he starched me. It looked like he hit me somewhere, and I landed on my ass, hurt my tailbone and everything. So it was pretty embarrassing, but it did make me feel better about you guys and who's protecting our country for sure.
You know what I really like about that part of training is, so the kill house is one thing, but then when you incorporate everything so you can, have your containment and your isolation that is keeping people out and keeping people in, and it's just a problem set. And I like just dissecting the problem set because guys go in there looking at all the windows, telling you what they have, and then have reached multiple decision points. Are people awake? What are they doing? The guys got guns, and then the whole operation could change, or your tactic could change no matter at any point of the way. And that was that brain food. It's just like a game of chess, because you can always dial it back and dial it, and then turn it back up and then dial it back depending on what's going on in the house. For example, looking at windows. That's you want everyone to look in the windows and treat a window like a small door when you're coming around it, right? And then guys go in the houses to say something goes hot in the house. Then you could bring everyone back out, then switch to a call out and bring out all the women and the kids. Then only the fighting age males are left in there. Then, they get a vote. They could do whatever they want. If they want to stay in there, then, we'll figure that out multiple different ways, whether it be dropping the house or going in there after them. But the whole thing is just brain food the whole time. Like it's the ultimate game, and it is the funnest thing in the freaking world.
See, I love hearing you talk about that. I love stories like that because it's the way I look at it is I've spent the last 20 years trying to perfect my craft, which is writing songs and singing them on stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys spent 20 years learning how to
Kill people.
And dude, it's so impressive to me to watch you guys work. It's just how you're on a different level because you're talking about playing chess. I get in there, I'm just trying not to get shot with one of them little plastic bullets,
Yeah.
And it'll wind me up. We were doing a simulated school shooting at one of these things, and I didn't know they had belt-fed ammunition.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, we went to go around this corner, and it just lit the wall upside. And I was like, "Fuck yeah!" I took my helmet off. I walked to the back. I'm done. That's the one positive thing about being a civilian. Is I can take my shit and go to the house. I ain't going in there at all. Y'all have it. But no, I got a lot of respect for you guys, especially that community, and I got a good bit of a fascination with it, man. Just because I like guns, I like doing drills and learning stuff. But watching you guys is just another level. It's a lot
better
of fun.
start buying guns and ammo if this election goes south.
Yeah.
Bro,
I bought
mad.
a shit ton of ammo last night after that debate. I was like, I'm not taking any chances.
You talking about the 3-on-1?
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Bro. She
And
just
the
makes me nervous, man.
I know. The moderators kept they were clearly on her side.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't even trying to fake it.
Yeah.
No. And I'm not one of these guys, man, that's like hanging off of Donald Trump's nutsack.
No.
I like the guy.
Yeah.
I think I like the things he did for our country, but I'm not a diehard like Trump or die type thing. But, looking at our options,
Yeah.
she makes me nervous. She scares me
Very
too.
nervous. Very nervous.
Especially the way policies just changed at the drop of a hat
Yeah.
to win an election.
Yep. To win an election.
Yeah, and the stuff she's talking about accomplishing just doesn't seem like it's feasible.
No.
The one thing I'll say about last night is there's no way you can remember stats like that and have answers to a T without knowing the questions ahead of time.
Oh, she knew the questions.
Yeah.
She was,
Either that or had something in her ear.
Yeah. That's what I was looking for.
from
That's
the
that was my
drop,
first
she
thought.
was very,
Yeah.
very prepared.
Yeah.
Which was surprising because if you look, historically, even a couple years before she was involved in the race at all, for the Biden camp, it's like she'd get lost in just a
She couldn't speak.
common conversation.
Yeah.
And yesterday, she
Yesterday, she
I was waiting for the laugh.
professional speaker.
Yeah, I was
Who
just
is
waiting
this
for her
person?
laugh.
Yeah. Never happened.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
It never happened.
she has the crazy laugh, dude. It's like, man, I don't know. She starts laughing. It's like, man, this bitch
That's
has
her
got-
like nervous default. I don't know what to
they
say.
got her tuned up
you know?
yesterday. She
She did well.
she did very well.
Yeah. But, I'm not surprised to find out that your friends are team guys just based off your history and the way you lived life. The teams draws a very interesting person, right?
Yeah.
You have some guys that grew up living in the back of their El Camino with their old man, or their mom, and then other guys, Harvard scholars. But everyone comes together and it's very interesting group, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
And because everyone, you know, if you're worth any of your fucking weight, you just showed up to kill as many people legally as you possibly can. So that's the personality you're dealing with. So you have guys all over the spectrum, because someone that has that desire in them typically has, you know, little screws loose or whatever, but they're just looking for their niche, and then they find it in their SEAL teams, and they're the most hardworking, smart, you know, intelligent human beings ever, but with this fucking wild side a mile long.
Which is the ideal human to me.
Yeah.
Right? The ideal man to me, like when I think about the kind of man I want to show my husband to be, you know, in this society these days, they're walking so far away from, you know, the fact. I feel like it's a fact that a man has to have the capability to do violence.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
you know
Jordan
what I mean?
Peterson said.
Jordan Peterson
really well.
He says it all the time.
Yeah.
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 I like that guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
But yeah, you know, when I tell my son coming up, like it's not like I'm telling him to go look for trouble. I tell him the opposite. You go look for trouble, you're gonna find it 100% of the time. But you need to be in a place where, you know, you can make smart decisions about it. Now, if there's 5 guys picking on you, let's back up and try it another day.
Yeah.
But if you're in a place where you can stand your ground and take up for yourself, man, you need to do that. You know, if somebody's messing with your sister, you need to do that. When I'm out of town, you know, and you're home with your mom and your sister, obviously he's 6 now, so we're to an extent, you know. But I want him to grow up and have the ability to protect his family and the people around him, and just be a solid motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like,
I think fighting has its place amongst men, you know, and I think you should be capable or willing to do it. You don't have to be good at it. You have to go do jiu-jitsu, but you have to have it in you to stand your ground and, you know, defend whatever, you know, beliefs or whatever you're defending at the time. Otherwise, you're not worth your salt.
right.
That's right, I think, you know, but that's just my personal opinion. I could be wrong, but I do think fighting has its place amongst men.
For sure. And I tell you, man, being around you guys, like you were talking about, it takes a special human to want to put themselves through that. Some of the training stories I've heard about you guys is just unreal. I mean, it's one thing for, you know, professional athletes. That's a whole nother ball game. I respect the hell out of that too. But man, you guys going and doing that and then coming back home and being civilians and trying to work your way back into that world just says a lot about the kind of human being you have to be successful in both places. And that's what I like about it.
Really hard to do.
There's a lot of guys that struggle with that, but it's always impressive when I see guys come home and they're the most loving husband and father. And then I'm like, I have one particular, my old neighbor in mind, a ruthless human being.
Yeah.
Ruthless. I can't even, you know, don't even want to go into details there, but he's the greatest father and husband in the world. The nicest guy you'll ever meet.
See, that's a hero to me.
Yeah. It's unreal.
It's hard to turn that switch on and off, but
Yeah.
some people compartmentalize it better than others, I'm sure.
And it's affecting a lot of guys later on in their life. It's what I've seen as I get older. Guys retire, then, you know, take their lives and things like that just because they don't know what to do themselves. And, you know, I hate to even think someone's in that deep of a spot of desperation. It's horrible. And but I've seen it happen to older guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. I think it's a loss of purpose. You know, you guys spend 10, 20 years or whatever in the service with that huge expectation of and excellence and purpose, and then you get out and it's like, well, what the hell do I do now?
I read something. Who was I forget who it was. It was a team guy. I forget his name. Brad Geary, I think his name was. He was just on the Sean Ryan podcast. And what he said, he's like, you know, I did some self-analysis, and what I realized is I'm addicted to being important. I'm like, well, shit, that makes sense, because when you retire, I mean, you're just the military, like you're gone. You're just another number.
Yeah,
the train keeps moving.
You get replaced.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
Yeah.
I do hate that.
And I'm like, man, that's a very interesting way to say it, because it's how a lot of folks feel.
It's an ego thing at that point.
Yeah.
Man.
And it's hard. I mean, you've been juiced up your whole life, and that, you know, everybody puts that pussy on a pedestal, and now you get out and you just, you know, in an office or something like that, right? So it's different. But
did you just say pussy on a pedestal?
yeah,
I like that. I do that on a daily basis.
you know what I mean, though, right?
Oh yeah, I'm taking that one home. I had to change the word. My wife's in the front row every Sunday, but we're gonna figure out how to work that one in there.
Do you have any tattoos you regret?
Man, I was kind of the opposite. So, not really.
Yeah.
And I probably should regret some of them, but I was kind of on the opposite side of that spectrum. I have tattoos that I wanted during a chapter of my life. I couldn't afford them. Mm-hmm. So I got them later. And a lot of them are like, I weaponized the Bible. I'm guilty of that. Mm-hmm. Like Psalms 1441 is like, may the Lord my God prepare my hands for battle and my fingers for warfare. It's like I'm a damn soldier or something. But I thought that was the most gangster shit I ever heard. Yeah. So I tattooed it on my hand, and my wife hates it. Cause she's like, in context, that's not really, I don't give a damn about context, what it means to me. And when people ask me what it says, and I say that, it sounds gangster. I don't have to give them context. I like it a lot. So, but yeah, I'm kind of the anti that. I got tattoos that I probably shouldn't have years later, instead of growing up being like, maybe.
You got any you regret?
Well, I'm in the same boat. No, I don't regret them. Could I have made better decisions at the time? Probably.
Are you going to get any more, or are you done?
No, I'll get more.
Oh, yeah.
I was actually thinking about that the other day. It's a long weekend. I just graduated buds and living in San Diego in Pacific Beach, like 4 blocks from the beach, had a killer pad. We were partying a lot down there. I think it was Garnett. It was the main drag with all the bars. And it was a Sunday evening, and we've been at it all weekend. I'm waiting to get in to this one of my favorite bars. It was called Longboards, and I'm pretty full. And I look over, and there's a tattoo shop right there, and it looked pretty empty. I'm like, well, shit. Instead of waiting in line, I'll go get a tattoo. And I wanted my knuckles done. I'm like, but the only two 4-letter words I can think of were "fuck this," and I'm like, well, maybe I shouldn't get that on my hands. I'll get on my toes. So walking in a tattoo shop, I'm like, I want "fuck this" across my toes. I want a chicken on one foot and a pig on the other. And he goes, okay, what do you want on the other 2 toes? I'm like, what are you talking about? And I couldn't make the cognitive leap that I needed 2 5-letter words for my toes. He's like, I got you, sit down. And he put a star on one and an exclamation point on the other pinky toe. So my toes say "fuck this," and I got chicken on one and a pig on the other.
Toes is a whole nother level, man. That's like when a heroin addict jumps from the main vein and shoots between the toes. That's another level, bro. That's the finish line.
Yeah. And so that happened. And now my kids are 4, 6, and 8. My 8-year-old can read it, but she's just like her mom. She'll never say anything. She won't tell her little sister. She's very tight-lipped. But as soon as Josie can read it, my middle daughter, it's wide open.
It's on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Daddy, what's that about? Yeah. It's a story for a different day.
And the chicken and the pig has it's an old sailor tattoo.
Didn't they used to put those on there?
Yep, they used to back in the wooden ship days. They would bring all their livestock for food on. They would keep the chickens and the pigs in the same crate. Whenever the ship sank, they would always find the crate with the pigs and the chickens on shore that floated ashore. So the theory or whatever you want to call it was, if you had a chicken on one foot and a pig on the other, you'll never drown because pigs float and chickens can always find their way home.
That's gangster.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's an old sailor tattoo. So I got that one right at least. But the "fuck this," I screwed that all up.
I dig. I'm here for it, bro. I'm here for it. The whole thing. This was an interesting story. I was on. So, and that's the thing about the song tattoos that's so cool is I literally can point to where every single one of them is on my body. And my second one was this guy, and we were out on tour with Willie Nelson on the Willie Nelson Throwdown tour.
How was that?
It was amazing. We made it through it alive. It was like me when I was running wide ass open on drinking and some other stuff. Lee Bryce when he was wide open.
Oh boy.
Jamie Johnson before he quit everything.
Gosh.
Randy Hauser before. I mean, we
You
were
guys
all
should be dead.
Yeah.
Oh, bro. It was amazing. And the tour, half the time, the people that put on the Warped Tour were the ones that did it. So they would, they put you in some conditions that like rock bands are used to. That they tour like with 15 of them on one tour. So we'd walk outside some days, and the shower was a plastic bag hung off the mirror of the bus in a water hose. And you had to fight over the water hose because it was, you know, it was one hose for like 5 buses. I remember Hauser one time, he said, if I don't have something other than a porta potty to shit in tomorrow, I'm done. Absolutely just finished. But it was a lot of fun, man. One night, the hotel room, well, it wasn't a hotel, it was a motel. I mean, a shit can hole in the wall. And I forget who the dude, I have no idea who this guy was or why he had a tattoo gun. But, you know, we get in there and me and my buddy
but
Jeremy.
we trusted him.
You know what I'm saying? Full on trust. Like, you got me, right?
Seems like a real straight shooter.
And so we get in the room, he breaks his gun out, and I was like, hell. So my buddy got brass knuckles with a tooth knocked out, which I thought was absolutely horrible. But he loved it, so it was cool. But I was like, man, I want the Harley One, like somewhere where people could see it. You know, I was big into, I thought I was a biker. I hadn't yet met real bikers, so I was convinced that I was the epitome of biker. So of course I have to have a Harley One. I'm the guy, you know. So the way he does it, he has me lay down on my chest on the bed in this motel room, and there's a bunch of people in there, and everybody's kind of watching, and my arm's behind me, and he tats it up. Obviously, we've been drinking, smoking, and everything else. And in the song, it says, I got my next on tour with Willie Nelson, cheap motel, yeah, I was high as hell, son. And that's a absolutely true story. But the next morning, I woke up, and it was such a shitbag motel. Dude, I had bed bug bites.
Oh,
like, from my neck, all over my chest, like to not cool places from laying face down on that bed.
Got your tattoo, though.
Yeah, it's there.
When did you start riding motorcycles?
Man, when I was still in high school, and I was playing ball with a buddy of mine, and he's my best friend to this day. His kids are my god kids, and he's one of the best humans on this planet that I know. And I met him around I was 14 or 15 playing ball, and his dad and all his buddies rode motorcycles. So I went to his house one day, and they all came in from a ride, and I was like, holy shit, that is the coolest shit I've ever seen in my life, you know. So my neighbor at the time had like a Honda Magna 600 in the basement. It had cobwebs on it and everything. If you think you'll ride that thing, have at it, bro. I tore my town up on a Honda. Old Honda Magna, it's black with like red stripes. It's ugly as hell. That bike still runs to this day.
Did you have it?
I don't. My buddy does. But it still runs.
Did your dad ride, or did he hate that too?
Oh, let me tell you about my dad, bro. Let me tell you about my dad. So we went in together and bought a Harley. So I started riding a Harley. My dad started riding a Honda.
Okay.
And my dad's a whole ass situation. So let me back up a little bit. My mom's dad, they're from Indiana.
Okay.
Before he passed, he was big into motorcycles. And then he got to a point where he couldn't ride a motorcycle anymore. He couldn't straddle it. So he got this booger brown, greenish scooter, Honda scooter.
Okay.
Which was embarrassing as hell. Even then, even when I was a kid. You know, you think, all right, that shit goes fast and I can ride on it with him. This is pretty cool. Nah, hell no. It sucked. So he got to a point where he couldn't ride it anymore. So he calls my mom and dad. Was like, hey, do y'all want this thing? Of course, you know, we'll take it. My dad was stoked. My dad goes and buys a leather jacket with a leather vest, Ray-Bans, and a bucket helmet. And this motherfucker's riding around my hometown. Dude, I had people coming to school like, see your dad this morning. Man, fuck you, dude. Talking about my dad again. He wouldn't drive it slow neither. He'd come whipping back. I remember being downtown with like a girl in my truck one time, and I heard something weird. It was, and dude, sure enough, he come around us 90 miles. He about took the paint off my truck. And so it was a whole ass situation, man. It went on for a lot longer than it should have, and he became known for it. At one point, I had this girl, man, that wouldn't give me the time of day when we was in school. And I was playing a show with Corey Smith in Dahlonega, and she went to the show, and after the show, she paid me some attention, and we talked on the phone, you know, and it got to the point where, you know, she came over to the house one day, and we were going to kind of make it official. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I guess what the equivalent of that would be nowadays is, you know, changing your status on Facebook or something. You know, we were going to go from talking to boyfriend, girlfriend. So we're standing out in the driveway, and I'm spitting game hard. You know, I'm really feeling myself, and I'm pretty confident. You know, this shit's going great. I'm saying all the right things. She's saying all the right things. And dude, I didn't even know my dad was home, and he had moved his lawnmower building once I kind of threw his shit out of it on up the hill about 50 yards. And it was a bigger shop, but it didn't have automatic garage doors on it. They were roll-up doors. So this whole scenario I'm about to paint for you, you have to understand what I'm telling is how much effort went into this presentation.
Oh yeah.
Right? So I'm sitting there talking to her, and out of nowhere, I hadn't heard him, hadn't heard a peep out of him. His truck ain't there. I was like, Jesus Christ, no, please, God, don't. Like, whatever, just please, hope he's working on it. Please don't be getting... Dude, when I tell you it was like out of a movie, the garage door raised slowly. There was steam blowing out from under it like it was a smoke machine, but it was really just the exhaust from that shitty-ass scooter floating up out of there. And, dude, the minute it touched the top... So he had to... Think about this. He had to yank the door,
run and get back on it.
Because the minute that thing got high enough for him to clear on it, here he come. And bro, he was in third gear when he come out the door up. This building ain't from me to you long. You know, and he has he's got his full get up on. And I think he graduated to fingerless gloves at that point, you know what I'm saying? So, dude, and you know, he comes, and you got to cross the yard to get to the driveway. He kicks up and throws some dirt and shit in the woods. And I mean, dude, I am mortified. I'm like, fuck this. This is ridiculous. Like, I don't stand a chance. And I guess his plan was to run up to us and stop. Well, dude, he's wide ass open in the yard. I mean, on grass. That's not a good idea for those of us that ride two wheels. That's never turns out good. No. So he's bouncing across the yard. He doesn't have his skull bucket attached. So just bouncing around on his head, you know, coming out through there. His damn glasses are bouncing off his nose. He can't see shit. Fingerless gloves, full blown leather. On a goddamn scooter, and he gets about 10 yards from us, and dude, I ain't shit. You did this exactly. He's riding, and he's gonna kick the back brake and slide it sideways. Well, the motherfucker grabbed the wrong brake. Right side. Dude, I mean, he hit the front brake, and it went out from under him, and dude, he landed throat first. I've never seen anybody do it. Reverse scorpion, where his feet touched behind his head, and dude, he slid to a stop right at our feet. And I remember her just looking at him and going, I think I'm going to go. And I didn't even look at her. I was like, you know what? I don't blame you. I get it. I'd probably leave if I was you too. And I was like, you all right, dumbass? And he was, fuck you, Brantley. Walk that shit back up. Fast forward, same guy. You know, we buy a Harley together. He lets me ride the Harley, which was cool of him. He gets on the Honda. Dude, we're shooting a video for a song or for just some content stuff for MySpace back in the day. And there's a big group of us, there's 30 bikes. And one of the scenes, she had the camera set up in the middle of this road, and we came out of this old moonshine still. It's at the end of this dirt road. You come up the dirt road, and the thing was, she told everybody to turn right in front of the camera. You know, she got a good shot of the wheels and the shit and the dust. And so on the video, you could see, you know, I come out and make the turn look cool. You know, it's about 15, 25, you know, 29, and my dad liked to ride in the back. So everybody's turning right in front of the camera, and then Dad just goes right over the fucking camera. Down into a ditch, dude, you know, drunk as hell, trying to get out of it, just you know, no exhaust on it whatsoever. It sounds like a sewing machine. It's just about to fall apart. You know. So then, you know, that happens. And 2 weeks later, we go to a party that was a bunch of people my age. But I take all my guys that ride with me, you know. So there's a bunch of them. They're, you know, my buddies. So they're my dad's age, most of them. We pull up this party after our ride that day, and most everybody kind of left, and the only people left were me and Coop and my dad. Coop's kind of like my biker dad. Him and Pop are kind of like my biker dads. And so we get to the end of the driveway, and it's just my buddy Rusty had this long drive. It was about a mile long, and at the end of it, there was a straightaway and then it hit like an acute angle and broke back in a straight line to the road. So you really had to swing it wide to even make the turn on a motorcycle.
Yep.
And you super slow, you almost dumped it every time. And so we get to the end of the driveway and Dad ain't with us. And Coop goes, "Where's your daddy?" I said, "Oh shit," So we cut our bikes off. I'm looking in the rear view because it's a straight shot to that corner. And you can hear my dad, like, that old hold my beer and watch this shit thing? Like, literally said it out loud, like in front of everybody. All my friends are there. There's like cute girls and stuff standing around. And we left the party really cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, we saddled up and told everybody, it was feeling awesome, dude, on top of the world. 2, y'all watch this shit. And you can hear him through the woods. And, dude, he's hauling ass. And you can see the headlight just weaving down through the woods. And he swings left. And, dude, when he gets on that straightaway, he got on it. And, I mean, I knew what was going to happen. I knew he forgot about that turn. So I was already getting off my bike. and Coop was getting off his. And I'm still looking in the rear view. And, I mean, I see a headlight go, it was fucking terrible. It sounded like trees the size of my leg were snapping halfway off. Like, it was legitimate. Like, I knew I was going to go up in the woods right there and pick pieces of my dad up. Yeah. He was dead. The bike's still running 1,000,000 miles an hour. I mean, the motor's wide ass open, and I was like, and I'm really panicking because I was like, dude, my dad's dead.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'm slinging my leg off the bike to take off running, and Coop goes, "Hold on now, hold on." And then we look, and across the road, there's like the flickering of a headlight on the trees. So it's like, what the fuck is that? Dude, all of a sudden, my dad comes out of the woods somehow, jumps the ditch. And, dude, it was like E.T. going in front of the moon, you know what I'm saying? But it was my dad on a Honda Magna dragging a dogwood tree the size of your face, And, dude, lands, bounces once, and hauls ass. We get to the shop, and he's closed the shop door on the tree. The tree's still hooked to the bike. We couldn't follow him because we was dodging Lyin. We literally had to take another road to keep from running over this tree the whole way back. He shut the garage door on the tree, and he was madder than hell. He thought we left him. It was like, no, dude, we were trying to catch up with you the whole time. He got back to the shop the next week, and they had bolted training wheels to the thing. He took a break from riding after that one. But yeah, man, my dad's a trip. His history on 2 wheels is pretty interesting.
Oh, electric.
When do you buy your first bike or start riding?
2012.
What'd you buy?
That Softail, that Harley Softail mine.
I bought my motorcycle in 2005. It was in November 2005, but it's a 06 to the overseas program. That you can get them, you can get vehicles and stuff tax free overseas. Oh. And I got it shipped to my brother, and so it's a 06 Fat Boy.
Let's go.
I still have it.
That's badass.
17-inch apes on it.
Oh, it's badass bike.
It's a good one.
Does it have brakes?
I mean, they're a little squishy. just give it a little pump,
Yeah.
All the good ones are.
You know what I mean? But I think I was making like $600 a month at the time, and I think my Harley payment was like $350. Not the best financial decision I've ever made in my life, but now it's paid off.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta have a bike.
Yeah, I got talked into it.
Yeah.
My brother's like, Dad has one, I have one, you need one. I'm like, you know what, Dad, you're right.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I can get one tax free.
Yeah. No, that's what my brother. He's like, well, you can get it tax free. You save thousands of dollars. I'm like, you're right. This is a great deal. Well, I shouldn't buy a used one for $5,000. I should buy a brand new one.
I think I can figure out $280 a month to live on.
Just can't eat for a couple months. You're fine.
Well, we had the chow hall, so I just ate at the chow hall. But I
remember doing a USO tour. Man, we were in Kuwait, and they had like, in the middle of the desert, and then all of a sudden you'd see like a Ford car.
Yeah, Jeeps, Ford, Harley, and I forget, maybe Honda or something like that. I forget. But
it was super cool to see.
Yeah.
That was one of the coolest things I've ever done in my career.
Where all did you go?
We started off, we went to Germany, and then Italy. I want to say it was an Air Force base in Italy.
So you, in Italy, you have Naples, which is a Navy base. You have Sigonella Navy base, and then I want to say you have like Aviano or something.
That was it.
That's an Air Force base,
Yep,
right?
that was it.
Yeah, probably a lot nicer than the Navy bases.
It was nice. That was nice. They had some pretty good setups, and so we were supposed to leave from there and go to Iraq, Afghanistan, but I guess it got extremely hot during that time, and they bounced us to Kuwait, which was super cool, except for there was still one of my guys in the band at the time that was a really big fan of alcohol, and it didn't sit well with him, you know. So I had a woman walk up to me on the plane. It was like, "Hey, is the long-haired gentleman with you?" And I said, "Probably, but which one?" You know what I mean? And I look back, and he's looking at, and this dude, he was literally a Sour Patch Kid. Like, you see the commercials?
Yeah.
That's this guy. When he wasn't drinking, the kindest, most respectful, most responsible human being on the planet. When he drinks, full-blown asshole. and he's just looking at me, and he's mad as hell on that plane, and he's under the impression that she's cut him off because he's drunk, which she should have several drinks ago. That's not what she cut him off. She cut him off because it's illegal to drink alcohol, I guess, in Kuwait. And we had entered into Kuwaiti airspace. So we land, and dude, he was in bad shape. So I didn't think we were actually going to get in. But we made it in. We got to we got there, and one of the funniest things that happened, we went in the simulator room. It took us in his trailer, and there's like different lanes. There's like 3 or 4 M4s and then a saw, and the big simulation screen things. Dude, I got on saw, obviously. You know what I mean? I want to be a big dog. You know what I'm saying? Give me that saw. So we get done, and we had a 4-star general kind of touring around with us, and he comes in during the middle of the simulation, and I didn't know it. So the guy they were super cool. The guys that put us on it were chopping it up, telling jokes like the whole nine.
And they got real quiet.
Well, yeah, and I didn't, but I had, this is all happening behind me. I'm at war. I'm full blown in battle right here. I come home, I had to go to counseling for 6 months. Like I'm in this shit, you know what I mean? So the first one was just a bunch of
Bodies everywhere.
whatever we want to call them nowadays. Yeah. Coming over the hill, and they're all combatants. So we're just shooting everyone we can. You know, the next scene was like do you remember it was like in a town. You couldn't really tell who was who, and they just pop out of windows and shoot at you. So, dude, I had a field day in there. I mean, I was laying down some bodies, bro. It was going
civilian casualties on that second
bro, let me tell you. So at the end of it, you know, I didn't know this was going to happen, but I guess the simulation keeps up with all the data.
Yeah.
So we get to the end of it, and it's not the guy that walked us in there that's giving us the stats. It's this dude. They're really quiet now. Everybody's kind of messed up, which was confusing as hell to me because we were having fun.
Yeah, that was fun time.
Yeah. So did I fuck up? You know, did I do something wrong? So they start, I'm in lane 3, I think. Lane 1 on M4, you had so-and-so percentage, so many kills. Lane 2, you had this, that, and other. Lane 3, it's so-and-so percentage with 90-something kills. I was like, I told y'all I'm the fucking best. And the dude literally said, sit down, son. Like, I stood up and put my hands up, sit down, son. He said, you may have 92 kills, but of those, over 80% were civilian casualties. You fired enough rounds to melt my barrel 5 times. You shot more ammunition than I can carry an Airbus. I wouldn't consider that a win. And, dude, I was like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? I thought we were playing video games here, dude. Like, so it was a reality check real quick. We finally, about the last few days, we kind of got him loosened up a little bit, but I mean, it was an awesome time. I still communicate with a lot of the guys that were over there with us, and it was a life-changing thing, to say the least, because it was right in the middle of my career where I spent a lot of time away from home. I wasn't married, didn't have kids, but you know, people would ask what the hardest part of my job was, and the go-to answer was being away from home. And then we get there, and there's guys and girls on 12-month tours, and, you know, not even an active conflict in that area, and it just blew my mind.
You just gotta forget about life. Like if you try to, and it sounds weird, especially when you have a wife and kids, you just gotta forget about them almost. That's how.
Dude, how?
It's tough, you know, but it comes in waves. But the best thing to do is just kind of block it out. Of course, you call them, tell them you love them, you talk to them as much as you can. Especially as technology progressed, you know, then it turned into FaceTime and Skype and all that stuff. Yeah. But I remember, you know, getting a calling card and dialing 40 numbers to talk for 3 minutes. Yeah. You know, and but everyone deals with it their own way.
We had that in rehab.
Yeah.
We had a little cold.
Same.
Yeah.
We had a USO show, and I forget someone big was playing. I forget. This is in Iraq, but then there were some cheerleaders there. I think it was the Dallas cheerleaders, and we have an op to go on later that night. But like, hey, I think we can make it down there, catch a little of this song, a couple of songs. I forget who it was. I want to say maybe Toby Keith, but I could be wrong.
Sounds about right.
And so we go down there, and I run back, and then some other guys are like running cutting it real close to the daily update brief. And get back, I'm like, what were you guys doing? It's like, well, we're trying to get the cheerleaders back here. I'm like, well, solid plan. How'd you do that? Like, well, we asked them to come back and shoot guns. They're like, no, we shot guns already, this and that. And then we asked them if they wanted to throw grenades, and they said yes. So I'm like, well, where are they at? And they're like, well, then their manager, some dude came in and said, no, you guys can't throw grenades, and cock blocked us all. I'm like, who doesn't want to throw a grenade?
Yeah,
right?
I want to throw one right now.
Yeah, great opener. Great.
I'd throw a grenade right now.
You want to throw some grenades?
Can you imagine having him deployed with you
It'd
when
be
he came
fun.
down to throw a grenade?
I'd carry backpacks just full of grenades.
I'm not saying I have the world record for the most grenade throws in a day, but I haven't heard of somebody with more.
What? It was a stupid number. How many did you throw?
I think 44.
In a like active conflict? Or,
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I love grenades.
Were you? Who doesn't love grenades? But were you missing a shit ton, or were you just blowing up everything in sight?
A few of them were exploratory,
Okay.
and but we were going after these guys that shot at us, and we were with the Lithuanians, and this is how it all started. Their GFC, their ground force commander, their highest ranking officer. We had these guys in this village, and we knew they were in this village, and we'd been in a gunfight with them already. Mm-hmm. I'm like, hey, if we're gonna hit this village, make sure we crash every room. And he goes, yes, we'll crash every room with fragmentation. I'm like, this motherfucker's down to ride. Let's go. So the gloves came off. Yeah, and so there was a built up to it. So me and my buddy, first we brought like 2 ammo cans full of grenades, maybe 10, 20, somewhere in there, right? Yeah. We threw all those in a day. So then we had to fly back to Kalak to get more, which is like a 5-minute helo ride maybe. Went back, got more, and then we went through all those. And then I went back and got a shit ton of them.
Yeah.
So then we just had them in a big kit bag in the back of the side-by-side, and we just refill our pouches. And
when you pull the pin, you let it go. How long?
3 to 5 seconds. Yeah, and it's 2.2 pounds of composition B, which is explosive.
3 to 5. It's
it's not exact science.
Okay, so these things are just
so you can pull it and let the spoon go. It's called milk on it.
Yep.
And then
1001, 1002. You better go.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But that's frowned upon.
Yeah.
But
I wonder how far you'd throw a grenade.
I don't know. I'd love to find out though.
Yeah, let's do that.
we do have grenade distance throwing competitions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I threw mine across the O course, and then it hit a log. One guy's bounced over the log, so technically he beat me.
Yeah.
But mine had more momentum.
Gotcha.
So we ran out of grenades that day, and we had M79, which is a grenade launcher. It's like the old pirate one, the single barrel that breaks.
Breaks
So we had golden eggs. So we tried to go ass to ass with a crash.
What's a golden egg?
The grenade that goes in the grenade launcher.
Okay.
So it looks like a big bullet, about this big around, about this big, and it's shaped like an egg, and it's golden. And so,
why is it gold?
Because that's HE, so high explosives, and there's other colors like the blue ones or the practice ones. I think you can get like Insignia, you can get smoke, you can get Illume. It comes different rounds come out, right? And so we ran out of grenades. So we tried to go ass to ass with a crash and a golden egg to throw it in this cave. And our thought process, crashes, I mean, they go quick. And I forget what the fuse is, maybe a second or two.
Yeah.
But our theory was if that crash went off, it would ignite that primer and send off that golden egg. But that didn't make it explode because we were trying to shoot the grenade launcher down in this cave, but I think it has to do 16 spins or it needs 30 yards for it to arm, and we just couldn't do it. But we gave her hell.
Just experimenting with grenade launchers.
It's Tuesday.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you? You're out there. You're talking about the Wild West. It's the Wild West. Like,
Oh, I believe
I
it.
am the law.
Yes.
you know what I mean?
No, we're
And
talking.
you get weird out there.
Oh, I believe it.
And but I think you guys would enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. And you know.
The whole getting shot at thing I might have an issue with, but the other part sounds like
All of that sounds
great.
cool. It's the part where that snap's going off by your head. It don't sound cool at all. It sounds like I might piss myself, you know.
You know, it's impressive what Donald Trump did after he got shot at. He just put his like.
He stood up like nothing happened.
I've seen guys that train, you know, most of their adult life get shot at and act cowardly, and then you know.
I mean, I would have got off the stage. I'm not standing up and.
I mean,
I'm
he went back at it.
rolling off the stage and I'm out.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Oh goodness! All right.
Well, I was looking for the thing on the debate. They covered it up pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't look for that last night. Would they have makeup on or something?
Yeah.
I'm sure they had to do something. I mean, he sure enough got shot in the
I would
ear.
have scratched that thing and made it bleed before I went on stage.
Make sure it's dripping down
You know
your
what I
face. Yeah. You really want to debate me now? I got blood on me.
So you do a lot of stuff for the troops and nonprofits. What do you got going on there?
Man, here recently, I've kind of enjoyed doing things a little bit different. For years, you know, everybody kind of did a really good job of making sure there were cameras around every time we did something. And man, the experience just got to where, you know, some of these guys and a lot of the guys I really like working with are the ones that really don't want to go to shit like that.
Sure.
Like we played a show this year, and for the veterans that were there, they put on these light up, like we have backstage passes or whatever. You remember that? They gave them like wristbands that lit up.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, a lot of guys
No.
They don't want that
this
attention.
bullshit, you know what I mean? And a lot of the events we've done in the past, and I mean, they've been done with great intentions, right? Like we've done Harley rides and things like that, and you know, a lot of the guys appreciate it. A lot don't. A lot that environment's a lot for them.
Yeah.
You know, they're not trying to really meet new people, and we kind of just lost a little. Didn't lose any passion for wanting to help and support, but kind of started seeing that it was an entirely different experience when there weren't cameras and everybody didn't know we were there.
Yep.
So, and I also like to shoot. So we've kind of been trying to make a point just to get on the range or in a house with some of these guys and just spend time with them, you know, letting them teach me something and let me work for them for a day, you know.
awesome.
And we've kind of found that dudes get in that environment and they want to talk a little more and
Open up a little more.
and they're a little more comfortable.
Not as much pressure, not as much tension.
Yeah,
little
so
more
that's
intimate.
been really fun.
I noticed that with hunting. Bring guys hunting and just sit there and they just start talking. You know, I call it tree stand therapy. But someone will open up with you, and I think it has to do with being out there in the woods with nature, and you know, just like the peace that comes with that. Cats will open up and tell you what's bothering them and shit like that.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy doing that. And we did a hunt last year with some SEAL widows. We had 5 Gold Star wives out to his place in Kentucky. That's probably the most rewarding thing I've done.
Oh, that's awesome.
A couple of my buddies' widows, and it was something special, man. Sitting in there and listening to their stories and how they're living life. And I learned a stat from them. I think 90% of widows end up marrying SEALs again.
Wow.
And, I'm like, why is that? And they're like, well, you know, we don't want to go dating gin pop. And then we're these are their words, not mine.
That's exactly what they said.
And once you're, you know, used in this lifestyle and this personality that comes with it, like you're used to being with that type of person.
Right.
So that's the type of person that you end up with again, which makes perfect sense. You know?
Yeah, that's an underheard side of the story, right? That's what happens to them. I know there's a guy that was a good, my buddy I was telling you about, his war buddy. You know, he lost his wife. He came home. He ended up stopping deploying and starting a business for his family and stuff. But it's like, you know, we hear a lot of the same story over and over again. But it's those that throw you off that are different.
For sure.
You know, you guys are tough in every single meaning of the word, man. I got a lot of respect for y'all. But yeah, my buddy's wife's pretty cool. She so I guess some stuff happened that he was having a little trouble dealing with. So she called me and she said, "Hope you don't mind. I got your number out of his phone." She said, "But I got to get his ass out of the house. Like he's just spinning that. Like he's fixed everything. There's nothing else to fucking fix. He needs to go do something." I said, "Well, shit, fly him out and just I'll take him on the road for a weekend. It'll be fun and get him in a different environment." So I'm talking to him the whole time, but no more than usual. Just going, "Hey, what are you up to?" He said, "Dude, my wife." He said, if I told you wouldn't believe me, and I know it sounds really stupid, but my wife's got me on some kind of scavenger hunt type thing, dude. So I don't even know where I'm going. She's flying me to some airport, and then I'm going to find out when I get there what's up. So we're keeping up with him, right? And I'm tracking him the whole time. I know when the plane lands, and everybody from that plane's walking to baggage claim. He's nowhere to be found. It was the weirdest shit in the world. I've got my whole organization in there looking for one SEAL.
Yeah.
We can't find him.
Yeah.
We're texting each other, calling each other. "Hey, you see him?" And it was the Vegas terminal, so there's slot machines and stuff everywhere. We checked in there. We checked everywhere. And then all of a sudden, he just walks up and taps on my shoulder. Said, "You got to be kidding me." And I was like, "You got to be kidding me. I've been looking for you before. Where have you been?" I'm just standing right here. I was like, "All right, I know y'all can disappear in plain sight and shit, but that's a little much, man, to literally not be here and then just be right here." But it was a pretty cool thing. It was good looking out on her part. We had a lot of fun.
What any hunts lined up this year?
Well, so I had several. And then my wife and I booked them a year out. I was stoked. Like Lee Lakowski and I try to go every year to Colorado, go on an elk hunt up on Devil's Peak. Man, it's so much fun. Most beautiful hunt. Probably my favorite hunt I've ever done. It's like turkey hunting something 3 times your size.
That's exactly what he says.
Yeah. Lee don't like killing nothing with a gun. So it's always bow, and we're walking a lot. It really is. It's the most beautiful scenery I've ever seen, most fun I've ever had. We had that one lined up. Had a few whitetail hunts lined up, a couple with him. I was going to go to Craig Morgan's ranch. He's got a new farm in Illinois. It's bang up. I was going to skip up to Lee and Tiffany's place. It's about 45 minutes away. Like I had plans to go to South Georgia and hunt some with Michael Lee. I mean, I had it.
You had a lot of plans.
Oh, yeah. I had it lined up, buddy. And then, I got to tell y'all how this shit happened. So I'm leaving, right? This is the night before I leave, and every now and then, my wife and I, we have dust ups like any other couple. So we had a little argument, and my wife's 5'3", dog, absolutely gorgeous. I got a smoke show wife, and I've known her. I was working on some community service hours at a church, and her family went to that church. She was still in school. I just graduated, and I mean, we've got a lot of history. There was a lot of years in between. We didn't see her speak to each other, but she's a special woman, man. Always has been. But when you have that much history with somebody, there's you're comfortable enough to have some fights every now and then.
Sure.
But the only way, she ain't no punk, dude. My wife's she's by the book Christian. Don't hardly drink much. Don't cuss at all. But when she's mad, bro, it's like that. It's something to behold, like, and to dodge. I would advise the hardest of any SEAL to just, I'd advise a train to take a dirt road instead of fighting her when she's mad. But, the only way I can really get the last word in is wait till she goes to sleep and then fire that damn text message over. So, man, I got up to the bus and we left, and I'm going down the road and I was still pissed as hell. So I sent I sent a grit teeth text and fired that summons across. I remember waking up the next day, it was 11 or 12, about noon. And the minute I woke up, I already felt bad about sending a text overnight for her to wake up. It was just shitty to do. Yeah. But I did get the last word. Bro, I had a response on my phone. So I look at it, and there's, the little notification that she's fired back. Now, I don't know what she's fired back yet. I unlock my phone. Or no, you can click it on the home screen. You click the little message, and it does facial recognition, and it pops straight to it. Dude, I'm still asleep. I didn't sleep many hours, and we smoked going down the road. Probably still had a little smoke buzz. I hit the button, and all I see is a positive pregnancy test.
Oh, goodness.
That's how gangster my wife is. No word. No word. No, no. She just took all that on the chin. Like, you watch this motherfucker. Ding.
Deal with this.
Oh, dude. And I saw it and I was like, oh, I'm such an asshole. Like, what a douchebag. What kind of douchebag do you have to be to send a rage text in the middle of the night, wake up to a pregnancy test that's positive? Anybody ever tells you that testosterone's birth control is full of shit, I promise you.
How long was she sitting on that?
I don't know. She won't come clean about it. She said she found out that morning, but I highly doubt that. She was probably saving it. But man, it was wild. So my hunting season kind of went to shit because he's coming sometime in October.
Yep.
So
you're
my
baby,
daughter was born on
duty.
9/9.
Okay.
My son was born on 11/11.
Oh, wow.
This is kind of cool.
That is.
And then this one's sometime in October. She's not going to make it when she's supposed to, I don't think.
10.
She's ready to go.
Maybe 10-10?
It would be super cool.
That'd
That's
be-
what we're
that'd be-
praying
that'd be
for.
cool.
That one, or her dad passed away on 10/17. So if it happened on that day, it wouldn't break our hearts.
There you go.
That's
Give her
great.
something good about that day. But I'm excited, man. It wasn't one of those things where we had talked about having 3. She was one of 3.
Yeah.
I just had one brother, and I'd always liked the idea of having a big family, man, and I feel like, especially these days, man, like we need kids growing up that come from a good family unit,
sure.
homes with a
Absolutely.
moral compass, and
Yep.
we have the means to do that healthily for a kid. So we had talked about it, but we started late, so we had kind of decided against it, and so I got back in the gym and got back on stage, and sure enough, buddy, that snuck one by the goalie.
Back to dad life.
Yeah, you know what though? I'm actually really excited, man.
I bet.
It's like the first 2, like I have very, very. I'm in touch with exactly what I missed and how, and I'm gonna do
it differently.
everything in my power not to do that again and
That's
be
awesome.
present and that kind of thing. So yeah, my hunting season is kind of got shot to hell, but
Got thrown a little curveball, but
Yeah.
yeah,
a good
that's all right.
curveball.
You'll be able to sneak
Yeah.
out in the woods a time or two, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, but dude, there's
They just sleep those first couple months anyway.
Yeah, bring your boy hunt.
There you go.
I got to bring a son.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
so my boy's he'll turn 7 in November, and he really likes hunting. Like he'll get in. First couple of years, I was taking him when he's 2.
Yeah.
He was just trying to, play with toys in the bottom of the redneck or whatever. But now he's like looking for everything,
Looking around.
and
Yeah.
trying to learn what we're growing and why and that kind
Yep.
of thing. So it's been a lot of fun.
I was heading up to his place on Saturday in Kentucky to hunt, and my 4-year-old, she looks at me, she goes, "Dad, I want to come hunting with you." I'm like, "Well, you have to be really quiet and really still without missing a beat." She looks at me and goes, "Yeah, I can't do that." And then
It's not for me.
Then Saturday morning, I'm about to take off, and she asked if any of his kids are going. I said, "No, none of them are going." "I think I might be able to be quiet and still for a little bit." I'm like, "How about you wait till rifle season? That way you can make a little bit more noise."
There
and
you go.
I could shoot them further away. "Yeah, and I'll help you pull the trigger." I said, "Perfect."
Deal.
Yeah. And then it was like, "And we'll have mom pack the snacks."
Nice. Yeah, she got it figured out, bro.
Great idea.
The whole game plan. We're gonna try to get. How old is she?
4.
Does your oldest shoot yet?
No, not really.
Man, I was a little hesitant to get my little man on a gun. He's got a little 22
Yep.
pistol. He's got a 22 little one shot bolt rifle. I was just hesitant because I was back and forth about it. But a buddy of mine. So when we go to the beach, I'm not a real big beach fan. But down around the Panama City area, there's Precision Tacticals, really cool stores. All military guys, retired military guys that run it. I get all my stuff Serica. Every time we go on a trip down there, like I disappear to the gun store, let them do the beach, and I stay up there with them. And I'll have something Cerakoted and this, that, and other. But the dude down there, my buddy Rome, builds really good like distance rifles. And I was talking to him. I was like, man, I want him to be able to shoot, and he is a little early for his age. He was pretty good about finding. I put a little SIG reflex sight on that 22.
Yep.
just to kind of get him finding a target where he wasn't having to find focus and stuff. But I was a little nervous about him transitioning over to a scope so soon and trying to get full picture and it not blasting him. I didn't want him to do that and never want to shoot one again, you know. So I got to talking to him, and he had the best little idea ever, dude, when you get ready. So we did a 6.5 Grendel, so the round doesn't kick his ass. But he had the smartest idea. Have you seen like the Pulsar Thermions? They make good thermals.
Yeah, I have one.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, so they make a version. It's not, doesn't break the bank, but it's a digital daytime and night vision.
Really?
So not thermal, just night vision and digital daytime. Well, dude, I can hook my phone to it.
So you can see the crosshairs.
I can see what he's looking at, make sure he's on the right deer, you know, make sure he's on the
That's
target.
pretty cool.
It was genius. He'd done it with his daughter, and man, we took him to the range. His first shot at 100 he hit, first shot at 200 he hit, first shot at 300 he hit, and then he plinked a little bit. So then he, you know, Rome's like, Dad, you gonna try one? I was like, well, yeah, give me that 300. I want to shoot that car through the car window. You know, as a target. Man, you know, the can had got hot, barrel was hot. I got several excuses I can tell you, but my first shot, dude, nothing. And we didn't even see where it missed. I mean, it was a bad miss. And my son goes, "Hey, Dad, that was a miss." I said, "Thanks, I appreciate it, son. You're exactly right. I knew that. I didn't need you to dig the knife in." But, man, he had a blast with it. And all he's talking about this year is trying to get on his first buck.
There you go.
I got there's a couple 4-year-old 8s. I try to let them get to 5.
Yeah.
It's hard to do around the house. There's a 5-year-old that showed up 4 or 5 days ago, and I hadn't seen him all preseason. We laid off of proteins. We moved a bunch of stuff around this year, and we changed our feed. We went to you ever heard of 4S Wildlife?
Yeah.
Dude, so Bruce is a good buddy of mine.
I'm using it in Kentucky.
Dude, it's like, so most of the protein feed you use, you know, they may be up 18, 19%. You'll find some 20.
Yeah.
Dude, his minimum on a bag is 21 or 22,
Really?
and I mean, it gets up to 24, 25.
Where's he out of?
Georgia, South Georgia.
Yeah.
They ship everything out from there, and it's they're all over the southeast.
Steven Stock got me a pallet.
Okay, gotcha.
It's good stuff. There's basically 2 mixes. So he'll get like the winter fall mix, and then, you know, the growth mix for the year. But we kind of laid off as we went away from like the big green spout feeders to troughs.
Yeah.
And man, that was his idea. He said, "Man, I promise you'll see a massive difference."
Is there a roof on it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we built it about 3 foot different. So the ones we built are about 7 foot. What we did is we took the bucket on the small tractor, and it's perfect for it. So we'll fill up the small tractor, the bucket on it, and then just tote it to it and dump it in. But we switched them, and they were not filling those troughs for about the first month. They wouldn't have nothing to do with them. And at that time, he just kind of disappeared. So I thought we'd lost him to the neighbor or something, or the EXD. But he popped back up last week. And
nice.
Dude, he's one-eyed.
Oh,
So he's at least 5. He may be 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Like he's wide, but he's kind of to the point where I think something happened. I think he got a little sick last year. So he doesn't have a bunch of mass. He's a perfect first
year
buck.
Yeah.
You know, old. He's mature. He's an old man. So we're gonna try to get him on him. He daylights pretty often.
Quite a bit.
So it'd be a good first deer for
That's
us.
awesome.
I'm waiting for my girls, because I have 3 girls that say they want to go hunting, because my worst fear is to bring them, like, hey, come hunting with me, and then they end up dreading it or hating it.
Yeah.
So my middle daughter last year, when we all went up there, she came and sat with me for a bit, but Katie packed her snacks, my wife packed her snacks, and probably the noisiest shit you could pack snacks in.
Samantha did that shit in the barn. She like pulled out like a little can of like Pringles chips. I'm like, I go, what are you doing? Honestly, like what part? Like what is this?
My wife would put down spaghetti.
I was like, put
in
down the
there.
fucking chips, please.
You know, the shit that stinks. Deer walk out. What the fuck is that? You know.
We're just crunching on chips. I'm like, we're
like,
hunting here.
Katie, you've been around this shit for your whole life. Like, you know you can't be making noise in the deer stand. And you just open up bag of chips and dropping shit. And it's like, peanut M&Ms in a tin can.
Has to pee every 40 minutes.
Absolutely. Dude, I got to where I take a big, one of those bottles.
Yeah.
He can't piss that some bitch full in a hunt if he tries.
So Sam will pee. She'll pee before we go. By the time we get to the blind, 3-minute drive, I've got to pee again. Like, you literally just peed.
A coffee can with toilet paper in it.
Oh, gosh. I have to pee right now, too, actually.
But I'm going to tell you, all right, I got to tell you something. My wife's going to kill me for this. My daughter grew up watching my son piss outside, just where he could drop track and go wherever he wanted. So my daughter literally developed the talent to pee like a boy.
Good for her.
She'll stand there and straight up. So, I mean, that's a benefit. You get her to stand, but I mean, dude, it defies.
That's impressive.
Not only physics but logic, but you know, it's wild. So she's, you know, we ain't got to use a can. She can hit a bottle. That's beneficial in the stand.
When Camden was, we were potty training him, my oldest son, and he was, I don't know how old he was at this point, but we're kind of doors open. It's kind of springtime or something, and I'm like, where the hell's he at? Can't find him. Yelling for him. Like, hey, where you at? Cam, outside. He's like, Daddy. I kind of walk around the corner, and I mean, he's in the flower bed, just pants down, taking a shit.
Yes.
And I'm like, buddy, what are you doing? He's going potty. I'm like, I know, but we have toilets inside. So I'm like, we go potty inside. He goes, the dogs go potty right here. Like, fair point.
Absolutely. He's on to something, man.
So he just shit in the flower bed.
He just shit in the flower bed and
Good for him.
went about his day.
Right, you know what? Flowers will grow a little better in that spot.
Exactly. So downtown this weekend?
Oh yeah, man.
Doing it?
Unless it rains us out, and then we're thinking about some backup scenarios. If that happens, we may do a little bar hopping and
There you go.
knock it out. We're excited, man. This is you know, out of the albums we've released in the past few years, this is definitely my favorite. It's just like I said, there's throwback stuff on there, and some stuff where we get outside the box a little bit. We've got a song out at radio right now with a rock star by the name of Ashley Cook, man. It's called Over When We're Sober. I hadn't got to release a song like that in a long time.
It's a good one.
I'm stoked about it, man. It's been a lot of fun to play live. It's just, you know, we've got some special guests coming. Am I allowed to blow the lid on that yet?
This won't air till the Tuesday after next.
Oh, hell yeah. All right, perfect. So, yeah, Ashley's coming out. Colt Ford's going to make his first appearance since the heart attacks. Gary LaVox is actually going to come out and do
The Voice?
that one. Yeah.
Gary's coming.
That was on nobody's bingo card, right? Me and him being on a song together. But we've been friends for a long time. Dude, all right. So when I met Gary, we were on the same label. I want to say it was the Indy 500. They were singing the national anthem, and we were playing a show in the infield.
Yeah.
So, you know, they got the drivers meeting before the race and stuff where everybody's in there, and we knew they were going to be there. And my mom was a huge fan of his. I was a huge fan of theirs. But I didn't know what to expect from, because, you know, you saw the music video. It's the spiky hair, and he had the frilly shirts and shit, like the boy band thing going on. So I didn't know what to expect. And, you know, we walk in, and I remember seeing him, and he had a dip in. And I was like, well, hell, that's one for the home team. You know, we moving in the right direction. You know, all right, we good. And then we're standing there talking, and I don't remember exactly which driver it was. It was a shorter fella come up, had his whole race suit on and everything. And I don't know what his deal was. I don't know if he just wasn't a fan of Gary's or whatever, but he said something to the effect of Rascal Flatts, right? And Gary was like, yeah, man. And, you know, Gary's one of the funniest people on the planet. I had no idea. He said, yep, that's right. He said, man, I think I got one of y'all's CDs. It's rolling around the floorboard of my truck. It's a burnt copy. And then just sat there awkwardly staring at him. And I was like, hell no, bro. If it was me, I mean, this was still in the chapter of my life where I was drinking. I wanted to beat the hell out of him for him, you know. But I remember looking at Gary and then looking at him. And in my mind, I'm thinking, whatever he says is going to determine whether I hate him or love him for the rest of my life. And, dude, I'm not lying. If I'm lying, I'm dying. he spit about an inch from that dude's boot, and he said, "That's a real cute outfit you got on there, boy." That kid just looked at it and was like, "Yeah, I love it forever. You need anything, you call me." No, dude, it actually ended up being a pretty cool story. So, and I shared this with him. So when I was in some trouble at one point, and you know, I was from a small town. I got a little home cooking, so the judge would send me to, instead of sending me to jail, there's a few different times he'd send me to treatment. You know, and on one of those trips, my mom sent me like it was a couple songs on a little CD, and they were theirs, and one of them was like My Wish, and I remember like I was in a really vulnerable spot in my life, and it really hit home, and I was able to tell him that story, and you know how my mom did that, and dude, he ended up calling her that day. So we had this thing going. We always said, and when we get together, we'll call his mom and my mom and make sure we talk to him. And we always said if we did a song together, it'd be one they could listen to and be proud of, and not have to worry about the cuss words and stuff. So when I wrote this one on this album, was like, hey man, I think I got it. You know? So I'm excited about that. So he's gonna come knock that out. We got Demon Jones and Struggle Jennings coming out to hit that song. So man, it's gonna be a star-studded,
love it,
live wide-ass open event.
Awesome.
love it.
Do you still own your bowl?
Yeah, Mojo Bone, baby. Yeah.
When did you buy that?
So
I forgot about this whole bowl thing until it just dawned on me, and I really wanted to ask you about it.
So we were playing a show at this place in Texas called Billy Bob.
Yeah,
I love that place, man. I love the old dude that runs it. He's a trip. But they were having the PBR was there right next door.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go see the Bulls. Like I've always been fascinated with them. I don't fuck with them, but you know, they almost joined that list of the three things I'm scared of in my life. And that's snakes, sharks, and my wife. So Bulls are right outside the top three. You know,
sure.
So, I wanted to go see them though, and the little security guy out there was like, "No passage." Nobody's getting through. You can't go. And I was like, man, fuck that. I'm going to find somebody to let me go see these animals, you know?
Yeah.
So there's a big dude standing out there. He had a denim shirt on, denim pants, boots, like short enough cowboy. And he said, you Brantley Gilbert? And I said, yeah. And he said, I'm Blake Sharp. Well, he ends up being, you know, the stockholder of the year. Like he's really, really deep in the game and well-respected dude. And he said, what are you up to, man? And I said, well, I was trying to go back and see some of these bulls, but the old fella right there won't let us back. And he said, come on, I got you. So he ends up being a stock collector. So he's got a bunch of bulls, and he's showing all of them. He said, man, you ever thought about going in on one? And we had. So in the past, like when Dirt Road Anthem did well, there was a guy that wanted me and Aldine and Colt to go in on a bull together.
Yeah.
But he was wanting, you know, $250,000 or,
Sure.
you know, more for a partnership. And then my manager, Aaron, was talking to somebody here recently about, you know, partnering on one, but they wanted around the same amount. And this guy was like, man, he said, we ain't got to do all that. He said, I just want to see how interested you get in the, you know, in the game and if you enjoy it. And he said, you know, he hit me that weekend with a price. Someone sent me a picture of it, and I was like, I gotta do it. I bought a bull, you know, and so I own part of a bull now. And dude, it's been really cool. So the rodeo came to Duluth, right up north from the house, a few weeks back, and man, my son and my daughter both, really, my wife, everybody got wrapped up in it, but it was literally their first rodeo. So, you know, we went to the boot store he used to work at, got them all cowboy hats and everything. But dude, Cody Johnson, I was telling him about it, and dude, he was super cool, man. Out of nowhere, he sends my son like a Cody Johnson official like resist all hat.
Yeah.
And dude, my son, you'd have thought he sent him the Holy Grail. You know, I woke up to my son in full pajamas, you know, long sleeve pajamas with a cowboy hat on and snaggletooth, you know, just smile as big as the world. Mr. Cody sent me a hat, and I was like, oh yeah, dude. So he's hooked to it. They went and had an awesome time, and it's been really cool, man. It's
I went to the PBR here in Nashville, and I really like the team aspect of it now.
I do too.
Yeah.
And
Super cool.
They did a good job with the new program.
I was sitting with the guys that own the team from Oklahoma, the Wildcatters, and great group of guys. And to be able to go there, and I was with them, so of course I was rooting for the Oklahoma team. But I like being able to get behind a team of guys.
Absolutely.
And Vice, having one favorite. So I think it's a great way to get more people into bull riding.
Absolutely. And that Nashville team's not bad.
Yeah.
Them dudes ride good. He bucked in the Nashville one.
Oh, did he?
I think did he get rode on that one? It's 86 or 87. He had a good ride.
Yeah.
He does this little shoulder roll thing, man. And he just started. He come out of the gate spinning the wrong direction and did it too late. Mm-hmm. But if he does it, they can't stay on him. I mean, he's a beast.
So you're rooting for the bull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
I mean, if he gets rode, I think you just want him to be 86 or better.
Yeah.
But man, it's honestly, it was more about watching the kids and how much they got into it. And the whole time Barrett's going, "Is that Mojo?" It's like, "No, buddy, that's not him." And then finally, my buddy Blake came and got me, and he took me down to the little cut gate where they let him out and everything. Mm-hmm. I was right there with him, and Barrett's right above me. And my daughter and my son are just looking right down at him. He goes, "Is that Mojo?" And I was like, "That's him." And he just lost it. He was super stoked. And he bucked off. I think he was world number one that night and bucked him. And, man, you would have thought, I mean, you couldn't tell none of us nothing. We were
amazing.
proud. But it was super cool, man. It's been a lot of fun.
Good. Well, you got a big year lined up here. You got having a kid, album releasing, missing a little bit of deer season. But
yeah. Building a house, selling one.
Oh, okay.
A little bit of everything.
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah, dude, I go home and work for my wife. I'm busier at home than I am out here. It's like, fuck, I get on the road. I'm like, I might get some sleep.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I was excited, man. I
man.
appreciate y'all having me. I'm a big fan of both of you. So.
Looking forward to new album.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Friday night, I might make it downtown.
Come on, baby, let's go. Right. And man, good luck on your deer this year.
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna head back up there. Well, depending on the rain and see what he does, but I might go back up this weekend. I don't know yet. We'll
you're going back this weekend.
Probably.
You got to, dude.
I know.
The picture I saw, you can't not go back this weekend.
I know.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely,
I really do, man.
Appreciate
I really
you
do.
guys, man. Thank you so much, bro.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Appreciate you.